Hi everyone, how's your Form 4 revision? Here's a short test, about 20 minutes, on Chapter 4 of the Form 4 Biology KSSM SPM syllabus. And the title of our chapter is Chemical Composition of a Cell. So this is the first test for this chapter. Do try the test and see how you fare. So let's begin. So let's look at the format of this test. There are 6 objective questions which are worth 6 marks. And the time taken can be around 8 to 9 minutes. Then we have one structured question that is worth 9 marks. Then the time allocated for this is about 12 minutes. Actually, it could be a little bit more, about 15 minutes, but we'll shorten the time here. And then the total marks is 15 marks, okay? 6 plus 9 equals to 15. And the total time for this test is 8 plus 12 equals to 20 minutes. So at first, I will give you the questions. And you can try the questions and write the answers out on a piece of paper. After that, we'll look at the answers and explanations will be given for each answer given. Then at the end of it, there'll be a score chart for you to see how you fare and some remarks. Okay, so let's begin. Right, so I hope you have a pen and paper ready to write down your answers, first of all, okay, or your handphone to jot down the answers. And I'm going to show you all the questions first. For each page, you can pause the video and try the questions first. And then I'll flip to the next page. And again, you pause the video and try the questions. So at the end of all the questions, we will discuss the answers, right? After you have attempted the questions. So let's look at the 6 objective questions here, which are worth 6 marks. And the time for it is 8 minutes. You can add an extra 1-2 minutes if you like, right? So here is page 1 with questions 1 and 2. So you can pause the video now and try the questions. This is page 2 with questions 3 and 4. So pause the video and try the questions. This is page 3 with questions 5 and 6. And these are the structured questions. There are 4 parts to it. All right, so again, pause the video and try the questions before we discuss the answers. Now, let us discuss the answers for the objective questions. First question, based on the diagram above, explain why water is called a universal solvent. So here we see the molecule, a molecule of water, H2O. And we see that the hydrogen atoms have partial positive charges and the oxygen atom has a partial negative charge. This is because the oxygen atom is more electronegative, okay, than the hydrogen atoms. So it will draw the electrons or attract the electrons of hydrogen nearer to itself. So it has a partial negative charge, right? Whereas the hydrogen atoms have partial positive charges. So this shows you that water is a polar molecule. This diagram shows you that water is a polar molecule, meaning it has uneven distribution of charges, right? So water molecules are polar molecules with uneven distribution of charges. They have positive ends and also negative ends. So because of that, they are attracted to the opposite charges on the solute molecules or on the ions, okay, and can form hydrogen bonds with the other polar molecules, right? So when they do that, they will surround the solute molecules and then dissolve the solute, right? So let's look at our answers here. Water molecules have an overall positive charge to attract solute molecules. No, overall the water molecule is actually neutral. Okay, so it doesn't have an overall positive charge. Overall, we just write H2O without any charges. All right, it's just that it has positive ends and negative ends, but overall it's neutral. Now, second, water molecules are polar molecules. That's true from this diagram, that form hydrogen bonds with other polar molecules because the positive ends of the water molecule will attract the negative parts of the solute molecules, right? For example, if you dissolve, if you have salt and you mix it with water, NaCl, mix it with water, the sodium ion, okay, Na positive, will be attracted to the negative end of the water molecule, which is this part here. And so it will form hydrogen bonds with the water molecule, and the water molecule will surround the ion and dissolve it, the sodium ion, and dissolve it. Okay, and likewise with the chlorine or chloride ion, it will be attracted, chloride ion will be attracted to the hydrogen ends which have the positive charges, right? And this will cause the water molecule to form the hydrogen bonds with the chloride ions, surround the chloride ions, and then dissolve it. Okay, so number 2 or B, B is correct. So B is the answer. C, water molecules attract other water molecules and stick together. This is true, but it does not explain why water is a universal solvent. Water molecules are polar molecules that share the electrons with solute molecules. They don't really share the electrons, all right? Now, they just form the weak hydrogen bonds. Now, which of the following does not form a brick red precipitate when heated with Benedict solution? Question 2. So, we know that Benedict solution is used to test for the presence of reducing sugars. Alright, so when the reducing sugar is mixed with Benedict solution and heated, it will produce a brick red precipitate. Okay, and the sugar that does not form a brick red precipitate with Benedict solution is the non-reducing sugar. Okay, so you must look for the non-reducing sugar here. It's sucrose. Sucrose is not a reducing sugar. Actually, it's a non-reducing sugar. So it does not form a brick red precipitate when heated with Benedict solution, unlike reducing sugars that do. So what are the 5 reducing sugars? It's maltose, lactose, fructose, glucose, and galactose. All the other sugars, okay, except sucrose. Let's discuss the answers for question 3 and 4. Which of the following shows a correct condensation reaction? Condensation, right? So first we have to understand what condensation is. Condensation is a chemical process in which 2 molecules are joined together to form a larger, more complex molecule with the formation of water, right? So water must be on the right-hand side of the equation. It is formed, right? So you can see here A, B, and C has water on the other side, on the right-hand side, okay? So C is out. Now let's look at the second part. So for condensation, 2 simpler molecules join together to form a larger and more complex molecule, okay? And then the equation must be correct. So amino acid plus amino acid, okay, produces a dipeptide plus water. Is this correct? Yes. The 2 amino acids are the simpler molecules, and when they combine together with the elimination of 1 water molecule, dipeptide is formed. Okay. Now, what about B? Glucose plus glucose gives you sucrose plus water. This is wrong because actually it should be glucose plus fructose. All right. The monosaccharides are glucose and fructose, and this will produce sucrose plus water in the condensation reaction. Now, number 3. is a hydrolysis reaction. It's the reverse of condensation. So lactose plus water produces glucose plus galactose. This is a hydrolysis reaction, not condensation reaction. Triglyceride. It breaks down to produce glycerol plus fatty acids plus water. Now, is this correct? Is this a condensation reaction? No, because you see here that the glycerol and fatty acids are the simpler molecules. And here is a breakdown of the triglycerides. So this equation is wrong. It should be glycerol plus fatty acids. When they combine together, they form triglyceride plus water. So triglycerides should be on the right-hand side of the equation. Glycerol and fatty acids on the left-hand side of the equation. This equation is wrong. The answer is A. Now let's go on to number 4. The diagram shows a part of the DNA molecule, and C here is cytosine, stands for cytosine, A stands for adenine, right? Now, which of the following correctly names the parts labeled L, M, N, and O? Okay, so in this molecule of DNA, we can see the basic unit called the nucleotide, which is made up of L, M, and C here as one example. Okay, so we know that the L is the phosphate group, M is the pentose sugar, and C is the nitrogenous base. So a nucleotide consists of a phosphate group, pentose sugar is in the center, and then the nitrogenous base is at the side here, okay, in the part here. So think of the acronym POLIS, SUCA, BATE. POLIS stands for phosphate, SUCA stands for the sugar, okay, SU sugar. BATE, BA stands for the base, okay. These are the three components of a nucleotide, and the nucleotide is the basic unit of the DNA molecule. Okay, so L must be the phosphate group, M is the sugar. Now how about N? So N is the nitrogenous base that is complementary to C. So what is the base that can bind to C? It is guanine, right? How about O? So O is the base that is complementary to adenine, and that must be thymine. Okay, for DNA molecule is thymine. So the answer is not B, but it is D. Okay. Right. Let's look at question 5. Which food contains high levels of unsaturated fats? Coconut oil, olive oil, butter, or mutton, which is from the sheep. So first of all, we have to understand what unsaturated fats are. In unsaturated fats, the fatty acids have at least one double bond between the carbon atoms. And examples of unsaturated fats are the vegetable oils, right? Such as olive oil, all right? So olive oil has a high level of unsaturated fats. It's about 85% unsaturated fats. Now, how about coconut oil? Coconut oil actually contains saturated fat, 92% saturated fat. So this is an unusual example of a vegetable oil, right? Now, animal oils like butter and fats from the mutton are all from animal sources, and they have high levels of saturated fats. Okay. Lastly, let's look at question 6 of the objective question section. Which of the following shows the correct sequence in the production of proteins in a cell? All right. Production of proteins in a cell. All right. So referring to our notes, okay, in the production of a protein in a cell, firstly, starting from the DNA in the nucleus, all right, the 3 base sequences in DNA such as thymine, adenine, and cytosine in the DNA molecule, these are the nitrogenous bases that have a certain fixed sequence, is the genetic code for a type of amino acid, right? And this is copied onto the mRNA, which is a smaller molecule. So on the mRNA, this will form codons. For example, adenine, uracil, guanine. This is the codon that is formed when the code on DNA such as TAC is copied on mRNA. So the complementary bases are formed. If thymine is the first nitrogenous base in the DNA, when it's copied onto mRNA, actually the complementary base adenine, okay, will form part of the code. And then for A adenine, the complementary base is uracil on RNA. For C cytosine, the complementary base is guanine. Okay, so after the code has been transcribed through transcription, that means has been copied to mRNA in the nucleus, then the mRNA will move out of the nucleus through the nuclear pores to the ribosomes in the cytoplasm, where these codons or these codes on the mRNA are translated. That means they are read and then they are translated in the process of translation to form a sequence of amino acids. Translated in order for the cell to know what is the amino acid represented by the 3 base sequences. Okay, to form a sequence of amino acids. So as the codes are being read and translated, amino acids will be brought to the ribosomes and then joined together to form a sequence of amino acids that are very specific in order to form the polypeptide chain, okay, when the amino acids are joined together. So here we can see that first there must be transcription, copying of the code from DNA to RNA, and then there is translation, meaning the reading of the code on the mRNA in order to form the sequence of amino acids that will be joined together to form the polypeptide chain. So if you look at these choices here, the answer is A. First, you have transcription that occurs in the nucleus when the code on DNA is copied onto mRNA. Then next, on the ribosomes, the code on the mRNA will be translated, okay, in order to form the sequence of amino acids. Okay, so it must be in this order. Now let's discuss the answers for the structured question. So question 1. Diagram A shows the molecular structures of 3 organic compounds from 3 food classes. Name the food class of X and Y. Okay, so for X, you can see that it's made up of basic units called amino acids. Different types of amino acids are represented by the different shapes here. So what's the organic compound that's made up of basic units called amino acids? A protein, right? And then for Y, this structure is very familiar. It's also found in the textbook. And this is actually the structure of the triglyceride, right? But triglyceride is not the food class. Triglycerides belong to the food class of lipids. Okay, so answer should be lipids, or if you write fats, you may get the mark. But the better answer is lipid, according to our textbook. Then this rectangular shape represents the molecule of glycerol, not glycogen, glycerol, which is a type of alcohol, and then it has 3 fatty acid molecules attached to it, right, represented by the zigzag shapes. So for textbook, they also add a circular structure at the end here, all right, for the fatty acids. Okay, now anyway, Y is a lipid. We write down Y is a lipid. Don't write triglyceride, because triglyceride is not a food class. If your spelling is wrong, for example, protein, you spell as Protein, wrong spelling, that means you get 0 marks, okay, for that answer. Now, number 2, state one function of X and Z in organisms. And Z is found in plants. Now, looking at Z, Z is made up of these hexagonal molecules which represent the glucose molecule. So these hexagonal structures represent glucose. The molecules of glucose are linked to form a chain, and the chains are also interlinked to each other, right? So this represents the structure of cellulose. Z is cellulose, which is a type of polysaccharide, and the food class, it is a type of polysaccharides are a type of carbohydrates, right? So the food class is carbohydrates. So what's the function of X? Now, the basic function of X, which is a protein, is that the protein is used to build new cells for growth, or to build new cells to repair the damaged tissues. Okay. Another function of X or proteins is that it's used to synthesize certain substances. Think of the acronym HEAH, H-E-A-H, is used to synthesize hormones, E for enzymes, A for antibodies, and also hemoglobin. Right? How about Z? So Z is cellulose. So Z is used to build the cell walls, right? The cellulose cell walls. Remember that? And these are tough cell walls which provide support to plant cells. Okay? Because cellulose is a tough organic compound. So number 3, explain the breakdown of Y. Okay, so looking at Y, the triglyceride. Now, the breakdown of Y is through the process of hydrolysis. So this is a very common question in the SPM. You must know how to explain hydrolysis, which is the breakdown of the complex substances, and also condensation, which is the formation of the complex substances. Okay, now here's the breakdown. So first of all, we can mention that Y is broken down through hydrolysis, right? Now, and then when it's broken down, it will form, is broken down into 1 molecule of glycerol and 3 molecules of fatty acids, right? So Y is broken down into 1 glycerol molecule and 3 fatty acid molecules through hydrolysis. And this word hydro means that water is added, is a reactant. And water helps to cause the breakdown of the molecule. So with the addition of 3 water molecules which are used as reactants. Any 2 points here will be 2 marks. Take note that the keywords are the ones in blue. The ones in blue are the keywords. Okay, next. So keywords must be present. If the keywords are not present, for example, you say the breakdown of water is caused by, the breakdown of Y is caused by water. And don't mention hydrolysis, then you can't get the mark. Okay? So keywords must be in. Now, number 4, diagram B shows the cross-section of an artery from an individual who consumes a lot of one type of lipid in his food, right? Explain the effect of his diet on his health. So looking at this diagram here, the cross-section through the artery, we see the wall of the artery, and the inner part is covered in deposits of W, all right, making the lumen smaller for blood flow. So we know that deposits of W here are the deposits of W is the cholesterol. Cholesterol. So what is Y? So Y must be saturated fats such as animal fats like chicken fat or butter. And the high intake of Y, saturated fats, causes the cholesterol level in the blood, raises the cholesterol level in the blood in the form of low density lipoprotein. Okay, you can refer back to your textbook, which also mentions this. All right, that when a person takes a lot of saturated fats, it will raise the cholesterol level in his blood. All right, and this cholesterol is carried in the form of low density lipoproteins. All right. Then the cholesterol will be deposited on the walls of the arteries, and the effect is that W, or the cholesterol, will block blood flow and cause the lumen of the artery to become smaller. So we can identify W as the cholesterol and then mention its effect, explain its effect. It blocks the blood flow and makes the lumen of the artery smaller. Now, then the next effect from this is that less oxygen is transported to cells, body cells, by blood, because less blood will flow through the smaller lumen. So less oxygen is transported to the cells by blood for respiration. So if the coronary artery is blocked, then the blood cannot be transported to the cardiac muscles. Coronary artery transports blood to the cardiac muscles, or the muscles of the heart. Now, if it is blocked, then less oxygen is delivered to the cardiac muscles, and cardiac muscles may die due to lack of oxygen, so the person will suffer from a heart attack. Okay, so the name of the disease can also be mentioned as 1 point here. So any 3 points here, okay, will help you to get 3 marks, and the keywords are in blue. The keywords are in blue. Okay, so mention that Y raises the cholesterol level in the blood, then the cholesterol is deposited on the walls of arteries, and this will block the blood flow, and the lumen of artery becomes smaller, less oxygen transported to cells for respiration, so person may suffer from a heart attack if coronary artery is blocked. Right, so here is a score chart to give you an idea how you fared or performed in this test, right? So for a score of 14 to 15 marks, converted to percentage is 93 to 100%, and this is an excellent performance, and the grade is A+. 12 to 13 marks, equivalent to 80 to 87%. Performance is very good, and it is a grade A. 10 to 11 marks, percentage, in terms of percentage, 67 to 73%. Performance is moderately good, and is a B grade. 8 to 9 marks, percentage is 53 to 60%. The performance is moderate or average, is a grade C. 6 to 7 marks, percentage is 40 to 47%, and the grade is a D. And 5 and below, percentage is 33 and below, right? So for these two groups of people, okay, 6 and 7 marks and or below 7 marks, right? Do not be discouraged, as you can still improve on your grades. Okay, same with the rest too, all right, like average grade of C. So your grades can be improved with more practice, and make sure you get a good set of notes too. You can also go through my videos and jot down the notes from there, okay, as the notes are more complete, right? And don't give up, okay? So first of all, you have to get a good set of notes, and then you have to understand them, and after that, memorize, okay, the facts. Finally, apply it by doing more exercises, okay? So the more exercises you do, the more practice you get, then you improve yourself, all right? So don't give up, and learn from mistakes. These are the secrets of success, right? Thanks for viewing. Do share, like, and subscribe, right? And do comment too about these tests, all right? Whether you found it beneficial to you, okay? And whether it would be useful for you to have more tests in the future. Right. So take care and goodbye for now.